Have you ever stopped to think that what no one dares to comment on may be exactly what drives your loved ones away? That's that. There is a silent mystery that surrounds many elderly people. And, believe it or not, it has nothing to do with lack of bathing or sloppiness. What few tell you, and what most don't even know, is that the dreaded smell of old age is born from invisible biological processes which begin well before the first gray hairs appear. While many people blame time, age, or try to hide the situation with liters of expensive perfumes, the root of the problem lives on, spreading mercilessly and silently, sabotaging well-being in old age. Now, imagine being able to change all this in a simple, fast, and natural way, without having to spend lots of money or depend on magic formulas. Today I'm going to show you what 99% of people ignore and what 1% discover and turn into pure personal power. So, hold on tight, because what you're going to learn now can be the watershed between loneliness and the reconquest of hugs, laughter, and an even stronger relationship with family. Let's dive into this truth that can change the course of your story, and also bring back that self-confidence for the elderly that no one should lose. Carol Simons has always been one of those ladies who make a point of leaving everything tinkling. Shining house, impeccable clothes, regular bath, light perfume. Anyway, Hygiene was her last name. But suddenly, a scene broke her heart. Her granddaughter, with that innocent way, wrinkled her nose and walked away, smelling a strange smell. Ah, the famous smell of old age, which arrives quietly, without knocking on the door. The change in body smell happened despite all Carol's dedication. And look, it was one of those soul-hurting blows. Can you imagine how hard it was for Carol, who has always prided herself on her cleanliness, to realize that something was different? It wasn't a lack of bathing or a lack of perfume or anything like that. It was her body changing inside. The decrease in sweating and the alteration of the skin's sebum began to play its silent role. And without her realizing it, the presence of the dwanonil, Nonenal, was giving that bitter touch to the air. Nobody teaches us how to deal with it, right? Neither in the magazines nor in the salon chats. Now look at this. Carol could have tried to hide the smell with strong perfumes, but that would only have made the situation worse. The real secret, which few know, is to take care of the foundation and not mask the symptom. Taking care of the hygiene of the skin folds, adopting a method of 3 minutes a day, valuing the importance of warm water. Small actions that change everything. Want to know how these simple changes can be a game changer? Oh, hold on. We're going to talk about how the smell of old age is real, even when we want to pretend we don't see it. Dr. Thompson, who has seen it all in his life, often says bluntly, "The smell of old age is real, my friends, whether you like it or not." And you know what's most curious? Whoever has the smell is the last to notice. While Grandpa is there, calm, thinking that everything is fine, the whole family already feels that change in body smell hanging in the air, like a memory that we wanted to forget. It's not poor hygiene. It's not sloppiness. It's pure biology going on, without asking permission. Imagine the scene, that Sunday lunch, loose laughter, children running, and suddenly, that slight urge to open a window. Well, the decrease in perspiration and the change in the skin's sebum show up slowly, changing the natural scent of the body. The so-called dwanonil, Nonenal, this villain disguised as a molecule, is the one who plays these tricks. And the worst, as no one comments out of politeness, many elderly people live without knowing that they carry this invisible seal that distances them from those they love. Now hold on to this. wanting to ignore the problem doesn't help at all. On the contrary, it is like covering the sun with a sieve. This is where powerful practices, such as skin fold hygiene, conscious use of warm water, and even regular bathing focused on the right areas come in. Oh, and you don't even need expensive treatment, see? Just know the 3-minute-a-day method, which I'll tell you about in a moment. But first, let's understand why these changes in the body are inevitable, but completely manageable. When we talk about the smell of old age, we need to understand what happens in the backstage of our body, right? The first piece of this puzzle is the decrease in perspiration. Sounds good to sweat less, right? But no. Less sweat means that toxins and dirt stay on the skin longer, setting that perfect scenario for the bad smell to arise. Then, believe me, not even regular bathing solves if there is no special attention to the most critical areas, as I'll tell you in a moment. Another great hidden villain is the alteration of the skin's sebum. After 50, the skin begins to produce a new substance called dwanonil, Nonenal. A strange name, right? Because it is this blessed oxidized compound that gives that typical, slightly rancid smell, which no one has the courage to comment on. It's as if we were applying an old invisible oil on the skin. Therefore, knowing how to fight body odor is not a luxury. It is quality of life and, of course, well-being in old age. And it doesn't stop there. You know that dry mouth feeling that many people ignore? Because the reduction in saliva production is another silent cog in this whole process. Without enough saliva, bacteria proliferate, causing the famous breath that compromises even the relationship with the family. Sad, right? But relax, because there are simple and effective ways to turn this game around and restore self-confidence to the elderly. Hold on tight that we are already going to talk about practical and quick methods to solve this once and for all. A lot of people think that fighting the smell of old age is complicated, full of expensive products and crazy tricks. But it's not quite like that, see? The first step, which seems silly because it is so simple, is to drink warm water daily. The importance of warm water goes far beyond warming the body. It cleanses, purifies, and helps flush out toxins that fuel the change in body odor. A glass of warm water on an empty stomach is like bathing your body from the inside. Try it for a week and feel the difference. Another powerful habit, which also lifts the mood, is the good old exposure to the sun. I'm not talking about roasting like bakery chicken, no. It only takes 15 to 20 minutes of walking in the morning to activate natural skin functions that help fight body odor. In addition, the vitamin D that we absorb gives that boost to immunity and brings that delicious feeling of vitality essential to keep well-being in old age firm and strong. And of course, regular bathing needs to become a sacred ritual. But not just any bath, see? That lazy shower without rubbing the folds properly is no use. It is essential to give full attention to the hygiene of the skin folds, where sweat and dwanonil, Nonenal, like to hide. With the 3-minute method, the bath, this sacred moment that, unfortunately, many people treat as if it were a Formula One race. Therein lies the danger. There's no point in taking care of the shampoo if you forget to wash the folds of the body properly, right? Lack of attention to the hygiene of skin folds is one of the biggest mistakes that feed the smell of old age. Armpits, neck, behind the ears, intimate region. Everything needs to be washed calmly, with affection and focus. As they say, it is in the details that the difference lies. Now, think with me. Have you ever seen someone get out of the shower and still have that strange smell? Well, this person probably left residues of sweat, tallow, and dwanonil, Nonenal, accumulated in strategic areas. And there's no point in throwing perfume on top, see? It will only mask the problem. The real fight against body odor starts in the shower, using warm water, mild soap, and a soft sponge, without laziness. By the way, how about testing it tomorrow and seeing the difference? And you know what's sadder? This mistake, so common, ends up undermining self-confidence for the elderly and weakening the relationship with the family. All because small practices were left aside, without us even realizing it. But calm down, because the good news is that with small daily adjustments, well-being in old age shines again. And in a little while, you will know real stories of those who turned things around by applying these simple and powerful tips. Nothing better than listening to a good story of overcoming to renew hope, right? Just take a look at Donna Gloria's case. After years of suffering from the distance from her grandchildren, who avoided spending too much time around her because of the smell of old age, it was enough to adopt the method of 3 minutes a day, focusing on the hygiene of skin folds, drinking warm water, and taking walks in the sun that everything changed. In less than 2 months, the visits became more frequent and, look, even a bear hug she got again. Mr. Leonardo, another inspiring example, discovered that the change in body smell was linked to that change in the sebum of the skin, more precisely to the dreaded dwanonil, Nonenal. But instead of surrendering to discouragement, he decided to act. She invested heavily in the regular bathing routine with special attention to critical areas, and of course did not give up daily sun exposure. Result? He recovered the affection of his grandchildren and, in addition, the well-being in old age that he no longer remembered existed. And the best part, these true stories show that small gestures build big changes. The fight against body odor has not only brought physical benefits, but has strengthened bonds, rescued smiles, and revived dreams. After all, who doesn't want to see the happy family around, feeling pleasure in being together? And speaking of major transformations, have you ever thought about understanding now the numbers behind this reality and what they reveal about what happens silently in our bodies? Just imagine, 99 out of every 100 elderly people living without even suspecting that the smell of old age is already making its presence. Well, it looks like a movie story, but it's pure reality. The change in body smell is so discreet that, most of the time, not even a trained nose like Carol Simon's notices it at first. And when you realize it, it was often enough to create a subtle distance from those that we feel, but can't explain. And it's not that people do it out of malice, see? The truth is that no one wants to hurt those they love. So everyone pretends they don't feel anything, discreetly opens a window, or makes up an excuse not to be so close. But in the meantime, the elderly feel increasingly isolated, without understanding what is changing. That is why it is so important to open your eyes to what happens in the body, such as the reduction of perspiration and the alteration of the skin sebum, bringing the infamous dwanonil, Nonenal, to the stage. To know this statistic is to open the mind. It is not about guilt, but about biology. Knowing that 99% do not perceive their own smell is to understand that the fight against body odor needs to be done in a preventive and affectionate way. Now, if you are curious to know what other invisible changes time is drawing on us, wait until you find out what happens to sweating after the age of 60. Spoiler. It's not just sweat that decreases, no. Few people know. But the decrease in sweating after the age of 60 is so radical that the body simply stops expelling more than half of the toxins it should. Sounds good to sweat less, right? But that's where the danger lies. These toxins, instead of going away, accumulate on the skin, feeding the dreaded smell of old age. And there is no conversation. Without adequate perspiration, the skin becomes a free buffet for bacteria to multiply happily in life. From there to change body smell is a jump. For those who think that only deodorant solves, I'm sorry to inform you, it doesn't. No. A smarter action plan is needed. This is where regular bathing, skin fold hygiene, and of course the famous 3-minute-a-day method to get the job done come in. A simple trick to boost skin cleansing is to use a light vegetable loofah during the shower. It helps open pores and remove impurities without harming mature skin. A small detail that makes a huge difference. Now, a masterful idea is to combine these precautions with the importance of warm water. A bath with warm water dilates the pores, facilitates the elimination of waste, and still brings that pleasant comfort that we so deserve. Thus, the body breathes again, literally. And if you found this interesting, hold on tight, because there is still another crucial piece in this puzzle. The formation of a certain compound called dwanonil, Nonenal, in the sebum of the skin. And he is much more treacherous than he seems. Well, my friends, after the age of 50, the body decides to play another trick. It begins to produce a certain dwanonil, Nonenal, in the sebum of the skin. This complicated name is nothing more than the great culprit for the smell of old age that so many elderly people face without even suspecting it. Unlike traditional sweat, Nonenal has a more rancid, resistant smell. And it really sticks, see? The change in body smell is not a matter of botched cleaning. It is an inevitable biochemical transformation. Want a real example? Imagine Donna Teresa, who has always been vain, fragrant, and capricious. Suddenly, she notices that her grandchildren begin to move away without explanation. She didn't change her regular bathing habits, but what she didn't know was that, with the alteration of the sebum on her skin, the Nonenal settled quietly. And it's not expensive perfume that solves this, no. What really helps is the fight against smart body odor. Focus on skin fold hygiene, use warm water, and prioritize specific products for mature skin. So be smart. Ignoring the Nonenal is giving space to emotional discomfort and even damaging the relationship with the family. Therefore, when we talk about well-being in old age, it is impossible not to also talk about knowing and fighting the silent action of this treacherous compound. But oh, hold the excitement, because there is still one more very important factor in this story: the reduction in saliva production, which also contributes to that odor that no one likes to talk about. If there's one thing that few people talk about, but that weighs too much on the smell of old age, it's the bad breath. And do you know why? The damn reduction in saliva production. After 60, the amount of saliva in the body plummets by almost half, and without it, the mouth environment becomes a paradise for odor-causing bacteria. There, my friend, not even mint candy is useful. The change in body smell goes beyond the skin and begins to echo in the breath, compromising even that innocent coffee with the grandchildren. Now, pay attention. Saliva is not just for swallowing or giving that good taste in food. It is a natural line of defense against germs, like a patrol that expels intruders from the mouth. Without this patrol, bacteria make the party. And guess who pays the price? Trust, relationships with family, and even well-being in old age. Therefore, hydrating yourself is mandatory. Drink warm water throughout the day. Overindulge in fresh food. And if you need to, talk to your dentist about options like salivary sprays. Oh, and a golden trick to circumvent this side effect is to practice the 3-minute method a day, not only for the skin, but also for oral hygiene. Brushing your teeth thoroughly, flossing and rinsing with warm water And baking soda can be a game changer. And speaking of game changers, get ready because now comes what everyone wants to know. The simple and effective secret that 97% of seniors have applied to transform all this and recover their social and emotional life. Now pay attention, because this is pure gold. 97%, yes, 97% of the patients who adopted 3 basic rules managed to get over the smell of old age and regain the joy of living. It wasn't with very expensive creams, nor with miraculous magazine treatments, see? He was betting on the importance of warm water, a regular bath, and that blessed daily exposure to the sun, which activates the skin's metabolism and strengthens the body's natural defenses. These simple practices had a direct impact on changing body smell, combating body odor, and, of course, improving well-being in old age. And don't even think it's bullshit. No. A very inspiring example is that of Seu Raimundo, who thought that distancing himself from his family was something in his head. It was enough for him to implement the method of 3 minutes a day and pay special attention to the hygiene of the skin folds, that the visits of the grandchildren multiplied, and the hugs too. Now tell me, if 97% did it, why couldn't you too? The truth is that family relationships, self-esteem, and self-confidence for seniors are not as far away as they seem. You just need to know where to act. And speaking of taking action, now it's time to put everything we've learned together and move on to the next step, creating an introduction so strong and magnetic that anyone who listens to it or reads it won't be able to unglue it. Bora? And then, after all this, tell me, are you going to continue ignoring the silent signs that drive away those you love? Or will you take the first step towards a new cycle of well-being in old age, conquering back that relationship with the family full of affection and respect? The decision is in your hands, and change starts with simple attitudes. Drink that warm water in the morning, walk a few minutes in the sun, and take care of your skin with love. Now I want to know from you, if this content opened your eyes and made you see the power that small habits have to transform life, type "I want to be reborn" here in the comments. And if by chance you think it's not for you yet, no problem. Type "I still don't understand," so I know I need to bring even more content and practical explanations to help you. Oh, and of course, don't forget, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This way, you continue to learn practical strategies to maintain your health, your vitality, and, most importantly, your joy of living.